Hey everybody, it's Andrew again. I am here today with a project I've been wanting to do for quite a while. Just never really put much thought into it. I just wanted to do it, and then got to looking up online and couldn't really find anybody that had done this, at least not in the way I'm wanting to. I am going to be putting some Capra portal axles underneath a TRX4. I've seen it done with the 4-link setup using a servo on axle mount, which is great for performance. However, I'm after a more scale look, so I will be keeping it 3-link with the servo mounted on the chassis. It can be done. I know people that put Capra axles under the SCX 10.3s, and the TRX4 is pretty similar as far as the geometry, so that's what I'll be doing here. I haven't really measured my links out, so I may have to get some custom links made. If I do, I'll include that later on the video, but I'll be using these Meus Capra axles. And this is my first time purchasing anything from Meus. Nothing against them, I've just never bought anything from them. And before I dropped the money on some Vanquish Capra axles, I really wanted to make sure it was gonna work the way I wanted to. And for the money, these Meus axles are absolutely phenomenal, at least out of the box. First off, they come packaged really nice. It comes in this really nice quality box, packaged with foam, very secure, and then it comes with a little sticker sheet everybody loves, and then it also comes with a bag of stainless steel links. Looks like you got your tie rod. I'm assuming one of those is designed to be used with a servo on axle, and I have no idea what the third one is. Maybe they include that for people wanting to do a project like this. Really not sure, so maybe that's for a panhard bar, really don't know. But anyways, comes with those, bunch of spare parts and shims. Let's see if I can get it to focus. You have a servo horn, some portal gears, an output shaft, and looks like that is an aluminum servo on axle mount. And I believe that's it, yeah. This is a really good bang for your buck, as long as they hold up. For what, I mean, this was like 200 bucks or less. I mean, it is phenomenal quality. And I was curious, so I pulled the third member out of the front and rear axles last night, and they are packed full of grease straight out of the box. I was not expecting that. I was fully prepared to be pumping some grease in these things, but to my surprise, they were both slam full. I have not pulled the portal cover off yet, so I don't know if any grease is in there, but I will be doing that prior to installing. But it's all aluminum housing, has a brass, has a brass portal cover. I got the weights on these in a picture, but just for video's purpose, I will throw them on a scale real quick. Good old handy food scale here, and give you a weight on them. All right, scale zeroed out. This is Meus Capra axle straight out of the box, just as it comes. Let's see. May have to set this thing up on some jack stands real quick. It's not wanting to fit. All right, let's see. Looking at 468 grams for front axle. Pretty nice. It's got a nice weight to it. I believe the rear was 200 something when I looked last night, but we'll see now. Yeah, 254 grams it looks like for the rear axle, and there is no brass. This is all aluminum on the rear, so I'm not changing that. I don't see any point in adding brass to the rear. These trucks are plenty heavy as it is, so yeah, that's what you're looking at with these. And this is one of the biggest things with these Meus axles that sold me on them, especially for this project. Nobody that I've seen online talks about this. These things come with the panhard mount cast into the axle. So that right there is a panhard mount that is pre-threaded for, I don't know, like a M2, maybe M2.5 bolt. So in theory, you should be able to run this axle without the servo on axle mount. So run it just like this. Put your factory lower links here and here. The only thing I'm not sure on is the shock mounting position. I'm gonna have to play with that once I get that on there, but this will be one link there, link here, your third top link, and then your panhard bar will go on that mount there. So I've got to get these on the truck, play around with it, get it sitting the way it should, which I will get to here shortly. But yeah, this is my current project while I wait on parts for the VS410 hard body. Just waiting on shocks and a couple other miscellaneous things, but yeah. So this is what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna get this thing torn apart and get this thing together. If I end up having to order parts, I'll definitely pick back up on that, but for now, I'm gonna get started and I will catch you in a little while. All right, I'm gonna show y'all this real quick. Got the rear axle out and everything. This is what you're looking at on width difference. So it's a pretty good bit wider, which is what I was after. Trying to give this Bronco more of like a Raptor stance, or the, I can't remember the name of the company. They're out of Cali. They do, I think it's called like a Pro Runner package for Bronco Raptors. I think it's APG Performance, maybe APG Off-Road. Anyways, in my opinion, this is a much better looking axle with a trussing, got a fabricated rear housing, supposed to simulate like a Curry, like a Vanquish axle, versus the traxxas plastic. It's functional, they're tough, they're really good axles. However, from a scale standpoint, they're just, in my opinion, not a very good looking axle. So that's the main reason for me doing this. Not so much performance, really just scale. But anyways, just gonna show y'all this before I get this axle under the truck, so you have an idea of what you're looking at on width and just, you know, looks comparisons. I will pick back up once this thing has an axle under it. All right, it's been a couple days since I took the last clip, but the project is going smooth. Truck sits exactly like I hoped it would. Ended up being a lot more intensive as far as getting the front axle and keeping it 3-link to work, but I was able to do it. Currently still waiting on one more linkage, which is gonna be your drag link. That's what goes from your steering servo to the knuckle. I did not have a linkage on hand, the correct size. I believe it's gonna be about 70 millimeters. So I ordered some 65, a 70, as well as a 75 millimeter link. That way I just got some on hand if I need to make some adjustments. But this is how she sits. This is, like I said earlier, the Meus Capra axles. They tuck up there so much better. I'm bringing the slide around so y'all can see better. They tuck up there so much better than the stock TRX4 axles. I mean, in my opinion, they should come like this stock, like that. The clearance, due to the pumpkin not hanging down, the C-hubs are way more just tucked up. It's just a much better looking setup, in my opinion. It looks way more scale. I did have to play with the width a lot. So prior, this truck had, and I can freehand it like this because there's no drag link hooked up. It had Vanquish 475 hubs on it, which are right here. So it had 475s. With the 475s and these stock hexes, these are the stock hexes from the Meus axles. They're a few millimeters thicker than the stock TRX4 axles. So I used the stock TRX4 axle hexes, swapped those on the Meus axles, and then I took the 475 Vanquish hubs off and used the standard, I don't know the exact width, but it's the standard hub from a set of SSDs. A lot thinner. Let me see if I can show you. That's the height difference. Full focus. And a 475 Vanquish in the standard SSD. This is just temporary. I'm gonna put scale rotors on this truck, but that is strictly just for mock-up purposes. I wanted to really see, you know, what the stance was gonna be like. So with that combination, it is sitting exactly like I hoped. Pretty much looks like a 1-ton swapped Bronco, which is exactly what I was after. I think it turned out just fantastic. So that's where it sits. I'm gonna go into more detail. Those of you that want to stick around and watch, I will show. But yeah, this is how it sits with Capra axles and relatively no wheel offset. So this is just about as skinny as you can make one, but in my opinion, it's the perfect look. So yeah, this is how it looks. So to get the swap done, let's see, I'm gonna flip it around. So just to give you a view from the rear as well. Pull the slide over here. You can see it's just it just looks really good. It's wider, but it's not just obnoxious. It just looks like a 1-ton Bronco, like a Bronco on some Dana 60s, 70s, 80s, 14 bolt. I mean, it looks great. So on the rear, it is a direct swap. No modifications needed. The only thing I had to do, and you may could get away without this, but I don't want to force it. The shock, let me flip this sucker over for you. The ball ends right there on the end of the shock are too thick from traxxas. I mean, 1 or 2 millimeters too thick. So I took the rod ends off the shocks, not the rod ends, I took the ball ends off the shocks and found just some generic traxxas that looks something like, let me see, I don't got one handy, but just the generic rod end, something kind of like, if it'll focus, a rod end like that is all I used. So that dropped right in place, and the rear just, I mean, it dropped right in there just like it's supposed to. The front, which I knew it was gonna be a lot more in depth. This is something that I would not recommend unless you have a grinder or a Dremel with a grinding wheel, sanding disc, drill, a little bit of tools, nothing crazy. But I had to, let's see, how can I show you this? Oh, let's see. So if you see here, that third link up there, that's your top link to make it a 3-link. That mount comes in this Mia's kit, but it's designed to be used as a 4th link. The 4th link mount is actually somewhere right around here, but up top, so it'd be in that area, which puts this 3rd link way too far over. It makes it almost in line with a slower link, so your geometry's way off. So what I ended up doing was mocking up the 3rd link mount, punched some holes in this front axle with a drill, and moved it up and over so it sits almost, after comparing it with the stock axle, let's see if I can, oh, camera's not wanting to focus. You can kind of see it right there, there's 2 bolts. That's where I ended up mounting the 3rd link mount. So drilled 2 holes, had to grind a little bit off the housing of the axle just to get everything to settle the way I wanted it. But had to do a little grinding and drilling there. And then I'm trying to think, what else did I have to do? Oh yeah, the rod ends for the front shocks as well had to be swapped for a normal socket. And then one of the screws actually for the 3rd member, I believe it was this bottom screw maybe. Yeah, that, camera don't want to focus. So the screw that holds that 3rd member in, that your driver's side lower link covers up, the traxxas rod ends are too thick to go in the hole where that screw is. So I ended up just sanding it down ever so slightly just so I could get the screws in there without anything being in a bind. That was modified. I did also swap the panhard bar out for a link that actually came in the Mia's kit, which worked out super nice. This camera is not liking that. If you can see that bent panhard bar, that actually came in the kit with the Capra axles. It's designed to be used, I'm assuming, as a steering servo arm if you run a servo on axle, but it is the perfect length to run as a panhard bar. And you can see I utilized, oh, come on camera. I utilized that mount I was talking about at the beginning of the video right there. Panhard bar bolts straight up, like just, I mean, it was almost like it was meant for this. That is the factory traxxas panhard bar rod in there. And the frame side link is a traxxas long rod end, part number 5525. You can see I moved it to the top hole there because on the bottom hole at full compression, it was wanting to touch the top of the axle. So I moved it to the top hole. That gave me plenty of clearance. Geometry still seems fine. It's still got, it's got plenty of flex. It's got the tire stuffed up in the fender. It's got as much travel as you would want. I'm trying to think. I believe that's it as far as like extensive miles I had to do to make it work. It really wasn't bad. Like I said, if you ever drill either a Dremel grinder, something with a cutoff wheel, grinding disc, sanding pad, anything along those lines, you could easily do this swap as long as you take your time, measure 3 times, a drill, cut once, as they say. Really was not a bad swap. So once I get the steering linkage in, this truck will be finished for now. I don't really have a ton of plans for it besides really how it sits. May do some metal drive shafts because this plastic drive shaft at full stuff gets really tight to the, if you can call it the motor mount, subframe, whatever. At full stuff, it's pretty tight because these Capra axles are, they're more of a high pinion design, where the TRX4 axles, the pinion is centered, let's see. The pinion's more towards the center of the chunk on the TRX4 axles, where the Capra is more like a high pinion. So it does move the drive shaft closer to the frame. It doesn't touch, but it's really close. So I'm probably gonna put some smaller diameter, but steel drive shafts. Just 1 stronger, 2 looks better, and 3, that way I know there's no reason for it to ever hit. But yeah, this is how it sits. Like I said, I think it turned out fantastic. This is pretty much exactly what I had in mind for it, and definitely be getting some running videos of it soon as I get the steering linkage on, and I'll bring that as well as hopefully the square body and the optic on some good trail rides soon. The parts for the square body should be in this week. Just a matter of getting it put together once those come in. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Just for anybody that's curious, this Bronco does have proline trepadors. They're 4.9 tall with Vanquish. It's their VXT, I believe, tire dual stage foams. They're taller than the proline dual stage. So they fill the trepadors out really nice. Not too stiff, but for a truck of this weight, it's pretty nice. And don't worry about this nut on the axle. I've got locked up RC scale hardware on the way, as well as if I have to, I'll shave this down some, because being that I have a very shallow hub, you can see it pokes out a good bit. So if the locked up RC scale hardware is wanting to hit, I'll just shave that down some. But this truck does have the H-Tech Raptor aluminum grille, bumper, and skid plate, as well as the Traxxas Pro Light Kit, the RC four-wheel drive hood vents, and let's see, we got the RC four-wheel drive, I think that's their CC hand rear bumper, but it's a replica of a full-size ARB bumper. Great quality, all aluminum, just super solid. Just, to me, it's the best looking scale bumper for the TRX4 Bronco. Also have the RC four-wheel drive, or CC hand, whatever you want to call it, tailgate 3D printed hinges. And this is off of eBay. I cannot remember the seller, but it's just a 3D printed spare tire delete. So when you pull your spare tire mount off, you don't have those holes just sitting there. But yeah, that's how it sits. I know this video is getting long, but just wanted to be as informative about it as I could. And as soon as I get the steering linkage on, I will be sure to post another small update just to confirm if it was the 65, 70, or 75 millimeter link I ended up using. But just gonna wrap this video up. Stay tuned, I got a lot more planned. Got some Vanquish goodies on the way, got some Wheels of Fortune on the way. Actually scored some spec RC wheels, so got a lot planned for this channel. I'm pretty heavily invested in RCs now, so plan on putting out a bunch of content. So y'all stay tuned, and I appreciate you watching.